So a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have stayed the same. So what has stayed the same? So there's a couple things that stayed the same. The core definition of internal control has stayed the same. And we talked about, I always like to talk about, it always seems like going back to basics on this. You know, that we're back to the core definition. It seems like everybody's heard this a million times. But sometimes we need a refresher on breaking this down. So it's a process affected by the entity's board of directors, management, and other personnel. A lot of times when you see these changes, like in COSO, people are looking to use internal auditors to make this happen. And that's great, and we can help facilitate that, and we certainly are a good voice for that, and we are certainly have a lot of expertise in that area. But the process and the responsibility lies directly with the management board of directors. And I know that this is kind of like preaching to the choir because you guys have all heard this, but I think sometimes when we're having these conversations about COSO and the changes and the updates, it's helpful to have that conversation with management and remind them. And of course, I love the reasonable insurance. We like to remind people about reasonable insurance all the time, that there's no given that we're going to find things or the controls are going to stop bad things from happening or the errors aren't going to occur. But we certainly want to have reasonable insurance related to that. And then certainly regarding the achievement of objectives. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was saying internal control is always about the achievement of a corporation's or company's objectives. And sometimes we forget that. You know, we get our audit procedures, we get our controls, and we say, oh, this is great, but we forget that the whole point is that we want the company to succeed. We want the company to achieve its objectives. So we really need to keep in mind that if we break that all down, that's what the internal controls are all about, is the company achieving its actual objectives. And so, of course, those objectives are still related to the three categories, and these have not changed. So effectiveness and efficiency of operations, reliability reporting, and compliance with laws and regulations. The five components have remained the same. Control environment, risk assessment, information communication, control activities, and monitoring. So these are all the same. They may come in a slightly different format, but the definitions and that type of thing of these are the same. Now, the COSO cubes it's familiar. So it's not the same, but, you know, it's the same format. The columns equal objectives, rows equal components. We can talk about objectives at any of these operational levels and that type of thing. So, you know, it didn't drastically change everything, but it kind of changed the focus. Like the biggest change you can see is the control environment kind of went from the bottom to the top. But the cube itself and process is very familiar to us. So, now that I've put you to sleep with everything that you already know, let's kind of talk about what did change.